Hi! Welcome to this part of my review featuring the Konosuba God's Blessing on This Wonderful World, TRPG. If you haven't seen the other parts of my review featuring this role-playing game based on the popular isekai series, please check out the playlist in the description below. This time we are going to talk about the main process. I will give you an overview of actions and we are going to talk about movement and engagement. So during the main process, there are 5 types of actions that you can do: move actions, minor actions, major actions, reactions, and free actions. During the main process, a character may perform one move action, one minor action, and one major action in that order. A character doesn't always have to perform all 3 of these depending on the situation. It is possible they may only be able to take a move action or only a minor and a major action. When a character's main process ends, that character becomes spent. Now let's take a look at these actions. You have a list detailing the different actions according to categories. For example, when it comes to move actions, they are generally used for moving to another location, of course. You have combat movement, full movement, withdrawal, using a skill that has the timing of move action, equipping a weapon, shield, or piece of armor, using an item that requires a move action. You can also recover from debuffs, and any other action that the game master determines to be part of the move action can also be used as part of this category. There are also minor actions. They are simple actions that don't cause a character to become spent. You cannot perform checks during minor actions. This could be using a skill with the timing of minor action. You could use an item that needs to be used as a minor action. You could equip a weapon, shield, or piece of armor. You could recover from the intimidated debuff, or other actions that fit into this category. Then we have major actions. They are complex deeds, such as attacking or using certain skills. You can make checks for major actions. These actions include attacking, using a skill with the timing of major action, using an item that needs to be used as a major action, performing an action that requires a check, exchanging weapons or shields, exchanging accessories, or carrying out other actions that are categorized as major actions according to the situation and the game master. There are also free actions, that is, actions that don't use up a move action, minor action, or major action, and can only be performed by declaring them to the game master. You can perform a free action at any time during your main process. You can only perform one free action per main process, however. These actions include using a skill with the timing of free action, using an item that needs to be used as a free action, of course, other types of actions as determined by the game master and the situation, and we also have reactions. Any action taken in response to another character's major action is called a reaction. Performing a reaction will not cause a character to become spent. A target may only perform one reaction per major action. If such a reaction takes place, the character who took the major action does an opposition check against the reacting character. If the reactor wins, the major action has no effect. Spent characters can still perform reactions. However, reactions can generally only be done against characters who are performing a major action. There's also wait. If a player wishes, they can choose to have their character wait instead of taking their main process. A character who waits performs their main process after all other characters are spent. A character may choose to wait at any point up until right before beginning their main process. You cannot choose to wait after you've taken a move action. If multiple characters choose to wait, characters resolve their main processes at the end based on their action points. But characters with lower points act before those with higher points. You cannot choose to wait again at this point. Then we have the renounce action. If the player wishes, they can renounce performing any actions during their main process. They can choose specific actions not to take, like only moving, or elect to renounce all their actions for that main process. If they renounce their major action, their character immediately becomes spent. Now let's talk about what happens after the main process. we have the cleanup process, of course. This is the process performed at the end of the round. You follow certain steps to do so. First, handle any skills, debuffs, items, traps, or anything else that deals HP loss or MP loss. Then the debuffs, dazed, enraged, and knockback automatically go away. You end the effects of skills that last until the end of the round. You handle any skills whose effects last past the end of the round. You use skills with the timing of cleanup process and any other actions approved by the game master. Now let's talk about movement. Relative positioning and distances are important ideas during combat. Weapons all have specific ranges, and blocking an enemy's movements can also be crucial. Characters can move during individual combat by using a move action. There are 3 types of movement: combat movement, full movement, and withdrawal. When it comes to combat movement, this is a type of movement used to close the distance to an enemy or put more distance between you. Characters can move a number of meters equal to their movement in a single combat movement. You cannot perform combat movement when in the same engagement as a hostile character or with something obstructing your movement. When it comes to full movement, this is a type of movement used to head for a distant enemy or get as far away from one as possible. Characters can move up to a number of meters equal to their movement plus 5 in a single full movement. If you use your move action to perform full movement, you can no longer perform a minor action during that main process. You also cannot perform full movement when in the same engagement as a hostile character or with something obstructing your movement. Concerning withdrawal, this is a type of movement used to escape an engagement. Engagements are single units of space used to represent part of the battlefield. When talking about how far close combat weapons such as swords or spears can reach with attacks, you can say things like there are 3 in the engagement or approach an engagement. If other characters are in the engagement as well, you can say things like that character is in the same engagement or you are engaged with that character. In certain situations, non-character things such as traps or objects may also be treated as part of the engagement. Let's go a bit deeper into things with assault, withdrawal, and blocking. Concerning assault, when a character moves, if there are any enemies or anything obstructing their path along their way, the movement ends there, and henceforth the player enters the same engagement as those enemies. Entering an engagement with an enemy is called an assault. The game master decides whether or not a movement constitutes an assault. If a player character's movement would put them in an engagement with an enemy accidentally, the game master should clarify that before the movement is resolved. Engagements happen with allies too, not just enemies. If you assault an engagement with an ally, there is no need to end your movement. Concerning withdrawal, to break away from an engagement with an enemy, you need to perform a withdrawal. You can move up to 5 meters in this case. If your movement is less than 5, you can move up to the distance your movement allows. If you perform a withdrawal as a move action, you can no longer perform a minor action during that main process. Leaving an engagement that contains only allies does not require a withdrawal. In this case, players may use combat movement or full movement, and players can even assault a different engagement. Concerning blocking, when fighting in a narrow place, like a cramped passage or a suspension bridge, it is extremely difficult to slip past enemies. This restriction is known as blocking. If an engagement is being blocked, the game master declares an opposition check. The actor, that is the character trying to make a withdrawal, and the reactor, which would be the enemy character blocking them, add their action points to their rolls for this opposition check. If there are multiple obstructing enemy characters, the actor does one check, and their total check score is compared to checks from each of the enemy characters participating in that. If the actor doesn't win all of them, they cannot make a withdrawal and cannot move outside the engagement. And this concludes this part of the review. In the next part we are going to talk about attacks. As you can see, movement can become quite tactical. As a side note, during the main process, you can handle any sort of situation, any sort of idea that the player characters come up with. You just need to classify those ideas as part of a major action, minor action, free action, etc. to figure out how things will proceed. But going back to movement, you really need to take into account positioning, how the enemy forces are threatening you or controlling the area around them, and the obstructions as well. Understanding the battlefield will allow you to place your characters in the right position to use those special skills, powers, abilities, and spells. Thank you for watching this part of the review. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that have been supporting the channel by sending right through RPG gift certificates. If anyone else wants to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. Once again, thank you, and see you later.